And now, let's join ace broadcaster Mamode Akugha as he takes us inside the Niger Delta.
Hello out there and welcome to the program. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. I'm your regular host, Mamode Akugha. After almost 2 years since leaders of the Isoko nation met with President Muhammadu Buhari in June of 2018 and got his assurances to address a long-standing situation of infrastructure deficit in Isokoland, the neglected oil-producing Isoko communities are still waiting on Mr. President to fulfill his promise. Their reaction to this development is our lead in today's package. Next in our lineup for today is a report on the people's attempt to promote education for enlightenment and self-reliance, a laudable initiative that appears not to be in the agenda of most of their political representatives. Moving on to the rest of the Niger Delta, we'll bring you an update on the forensic audit of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, as ordered by President Muhammadu Buhari in October 2019. And finally, in today's package, we'll take a look at the prospects of a reconciliation between the hitherto warring Basamabiri and Ogbolomabiri communities of Nembe Kingdom in Bayelsa State. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region continues in just a moment. Don't go away.
Introducing the new face of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA. We are charting the direction for a maritime and regulating the industry for a better, bigger, and more economically stable Nigeria. Evolved to serve you better. We are NIMASA. New face, rejuvenated service. NIMASA, changing the tides in your favor.
Welcome back. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. Almost 2 years after President Muhammadu Buhari promised to include Isokoland in his development agenda, after several years of neglect and abandonment by previous administrations, the long-suffering Isoko people are still waiting on the president to fulfill his pledge. President General of the Isoko Development Union, High Chief David Ibiyeomie, made the disclosure in an interview with Inside the Niger Delta.
On June 28, 2018, Isoko traditional rulers and leaders visited President Muhammadu Buhari to draw his attention to the backward state of Isokoland, despite having contributed immensely to Nigeria's economic survival with 8 oil fields over the years. At the meeting, Isoko leaders explained to Mr. President that their youths had refrained from acts of economic sabotage in the Niger Delta and chose to protect oil installations in their domain. The Isoko leaders had called on President Buhari to reward their people for their peaceful disposition with an extension of the presidential amnesty program to the non-violent youths of Isokoland. They also made an appeal to the federal government to spread its development projects across the Niger Delta to benefit the Isoko people and possibly revisit an appointment policy that was skewed in disfavor of the Isoko people. In his response, President Buhari acknowledged that Isokoland had been grossly marginalized and vowed to right the wrongs of the past. He had promised to take a critical look at how the 13% oil derivation policy was implemented by previous governments and revive abandoned projects in Isoko communities. Almost 2 years after President Buhari promised to enthrone social justice in Isokoland, the people are worried that he's yet to fulfill his promise.
He said area of appointment, he was going to do something, and some projects that were abandoned in Isoko during the Civil War, particularly the Ofagbe, Ibrede, Yedame, Noboko, Umolu Road, that he was going to ask the interventionist agencies like NDDC to do something about it. Another road we mentioned to him that our late Papa Akugha initiated, or the Mamode, Oterigbide Uzere road, which he also said the Minister of Works will give attention to. But up till now, nothing has been done. It is actually painful that an ethnic nationality that produce so much crude oil in the Niger Delta, we are left, unattended to.
Till date, Isoko communities are littered with abandoned road projects awarded several years ago to ease transport and communication hiccups in the area. The state of underdevelopment in the communities is further heightened by crumbling social infrastructure, begging for urgent attention.
President Muhammadu Buhari should do something not later than immediately, because we have over-endured and we cannot continue to lay the egg, feed the country, develop Abuja, and the main area where the crude oil is coming from is left undeveloped.
The Isoko people, who have become victims of broken promises by successive governments, have decided to erect structures to drive rapid development in their communities, one of which is the Isoko Development Union. The fact, however, remains that all such efforts amount to self-help, which will most unlikely address the yearnings of the people in the long run. The onus is on the government of President Muhammadu Buhari to demonstrate the political will needed to bring an end to the reign of social injustice in Isokoland.
Inside the Niger Delta.
The Isoko ethnic nationality comprises several oil-producing communities in Delta State, but remains neglected and underdeveloped. It was to change the narrative of backwardness that Isoko Development Union and the National Union of Isoko Students, in collaboration with the Isoko Economic and Investment Council, as well as the two local government councils in Isoko Nation, organized a one-day Isoko Education Roundtable. The notable objective of the just concluded Education Roundtable notwithstanding, Isoko political leaders had failed to identify with the campaign against ignorance and poverty in Isokoland, as correspondent Tekena Amiofori reports.
The Isoko Education Roundtable was a huge success as it provided a unique opportunity for cross-fertilization of ideas and strategies to move the Isoko nation forward. For the first time, young Isoko sons and daughters met with their older counterparts to deliberate on possible ways to secure their future.
The future of education in a globalized world focus on Isoko. As the topic of this roundtable is a most and timely but very appropriate for our present condition. From this topic, this council is already leading us in the way to go and be relevant in our globalized world.
So much has changed in Isokoland. It will appear the educational system has nosedived and priorities have been altered. While this may sound pessimistic, I know there's light at the end of the tunnel with the right balance of forces and resources. It remains for me to thank the organizers of this event for their vision in this timely intervention for a possible soul-searching and redemption of our educational system.
I enjoy the education summit because everybody contributed their different ideas on how the educational barrier we have, the problems we have in education can be solved, and that's very good because it has been added to our society development.
The Isoko Roundtable was put together by Chairman of Isoko South Local Government, Honorable Constantine Itiako Ikpokpo, and his counterpart in Isoko North Local Government Council, Honorable Emmanuel Egbabo, both council chairmen, desirous of advancing the cause of the Isoko nation, had contributed to the establishment of the Isoko Investment Council.
The theme of the roundtable, the future of Isoko in a globalized world, Isoko in focus, is up and very timely, given the challenges in our educational system and our quest to ensure that every Isoko child have access to quality education in line with the Sustainable Development Goal 4, which aims at ensuring inclusive and equitable education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all.
We felt that there was need for a new focus, the business focus, to leave the local governments. And we thought it wise in 2017 to set up the Isoko Economic and Investment Council. That council is vested with the responsibility of bringing new initiatives power, education, ICT, and all of it, to agriculture. We intend to leave it as a legacy so that people can build on it.
It was in recognition of the fact that education remains the bedrock of social transformation and sustainable development that the Delta State government sent a representative to the Education Roundtable in the person of Patrick Oka, Commissioner for Basic and Secondary Education.
My plea to Isoko Nation, there's need for us to partner together to give the right education to our people. I weep when I see some of them. The counseling that we're talking about, even showing little care and love to these children. Some of the teachers will no longer know it. There are some parents who do not give that love at home, but for the few hours you spend in school, we should be able to show our children some love. Because when you show them love, they give you their attention.
Regardless of the significance of the Education Roundtable, most Isoko political representatives and leaders decided to shun the event. They include James Manager, representing Delta South Senatorial District in the Senate, Leo Ogo, representing Isoko Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives, Tim Owofore, Majority Leader in the Delta State House of Assembly, Ferguson Onwo, representing Isoko South Constituency 2 in the Delta State House of Assembly, and Kenneth Ogba, representing Isoko South Constituency 1 in the Delta State House of Assembly. Others are Askia Ogie, Managing Director of Delta State Oil Producing Areas Development Commission, Churchill Amagada, Commissioner for Land Survey and Urban Development, as well as Oviemuno Oguore, Commissioner for Transport in Delta State.
They are the bridge between the people and the policy that the people need to benefit from the government. And when you have a critical roundtable meetings like these, and these people are not there, they should be held accountable for being absent from a critical meeting that is supposed to address, or that is being organized to address the issue that affects people who have elected them to go and represent them, you know, at both the local government, states, and even at the national level.
We are talking about an educational summit, an educational roundtable for the progress of the people and the future of the Isoko nation. And those who ought to have even initiated it, they failed in the first place to initiate it. And then when these two local government chairmen decided to initiate this program, and they persistently invited them, they refused. The Isoko people should take the necessary action, recall all of these elements, especially those in the National Assembly, the Senator, the House of Reps member, and then those representing them in the Delta State House of Assembly. Recall them.
The move to use education as a tool to roll back ignorance and backwardness is generally viewed as a campaign in need of more volunteers in Isokoland, which is why political leaders in the area cannot afford to continue to ignore a clarion call that serves the people's collective interests.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, says the forensic audit ordered by President Muhammadu Buhari to probe the activities of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, from its inception till date was not to witch hunt any individual group, but to unravel the wrath in the system and reposition it for improved service delivery. Senator Akpabio gave the assurance last week at the tripartite meeting with officials of the NDDC and lead consultant for the forensic audit of the Commission in the Federal Capital Territory of Abuja.
Following a recent approval given to the lead consultant for the forensic audit of the NDDC by the Bureau of Public Procurement, the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs had convened a tripartite meeting of stakeholders to deliberate on ways to carry out the exercise in line with international best practices. Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, who presided over the meeting, underscored the need for all parties involved in the forensic audit to be committed to the objectives of the presidential directive on the probe of the NDDC activities. He said the exercise was aimed at revamping an ailing commission and not to victimize innocent citizens.
We will even audit the annual audit reports. We will unveil the veil of incorporation. We will follow the money and know how well if the money was utilized. And in some instances where the need arises, we will be able to recoup evidences that could even lead to prosecution. That is not the intention here. We are not interested in prosecuting people. We can also recoup evidences that could lead to reform of monetary commission, where we find out that the amount of money paid out, did not meet the quantum of work seen on the ground.
With the commencement of verification and documentation of all interim payment certificates and outstanding contract award letters, the forensic audit of the NDDC is already underway. Senator Akpabio enjoined all parties involved in the NDDC probe to work closely with the ministry in its quest to supervise a credible process that is expected to midwife a brand new NDDC.
It has to be managed and supervised from the Minister of Niger Delta, and of course in close consultation with Mr. President. So this is a very serious exercise. Your integrity must be kept intact at all times.
So far, the groundwork for the forensic audit of the NDDC has been established, and all parties involved look forward to a thorough process to be coordinated by the lead consulting firm approved by the Bureau of Public Procurement.
So far, so good. The meeting has been very enlightening. All the parties are quite impressed, and at the end of the day, everyone is satisfied that the course of action chosen by the ministry is indeed incredible.
The process has started by the verification exercise, and now we have done this tripartite meeting. The entire stakeholders have been brought together, and of course, we will move forward from here. We want to assure Nigerians that we will have a good outing.
It is no gainsaying the fact that the process governing the forensic audit of the NDDC will be scrutinized by most Niger Deltans, some of whom are already setting an agenda for the presidency.
This probe will bring up, or rather throw up, a lot of factors that is bedeviling the commission. And I salute the courage of Mr. President and the Minister of Niger Delta for initiating this probe. And very particularly, the choice of the acting MD. Truth be told, it is clear that a lot of contractors have benefited wrongly from the commission.
If you look at the anti-corruption posture of Mr. President, you understand that he's somebody that has zero tolerance for corruption. So I think what of the main thing this administration needs to do in the NDC is to have a forensic audit on all the top directors in NDDC themselves. NDDC, for your file to move from table A to table B, you must know somebody. You must talk to somebody. Business cannot be done in that way at all.
The outcome of the forensic audit is expected to establish a new governance structure that will transform the NDDC into a result-oriented commission.
Inside the Niger Delta.
In a related development, the Honorable Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Akpabio, has expressed the readiness of the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs to form a strategic alliance with the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to improve on agriculture and provide jobs for teeming youths in the Niger Delta.
Senator Akpabio, during his recent visits to the headquarters of the Central Bank in Abuja, said the proposed partnership with the Apex Bank was to exploit the region's potentials in agriculture and boost its capacity for food production. The minister hinted that his ministry had a pilot program on rice production across the 9 states of the Niger Delta, which would receive a boost through a strategic alliance with the Central Bank.
We are very determined. We even found out that we have enough land for it to even commence the pilot program on rice production across the 9 states of the Niger Delta. We have enough land. And we have acres and acres and acres of land. I went inspecting, and it was after that I said we must have this meeting. And so we are assuring you, we work closely with our governors in the region, and then where you need land, we will have land. But we are very prepared to make sure that we provide what is needed.
With unemployment rates on a steady rise in the Niger Delta, Senator Akpabio assured his host that agriculture remains a reliable sector for massive job creation.
We are very determined to work and realize Mr. President's vision So it is important that we commend the CBN for what we have been doing so far, that could take our youths off amnesty program, that could take our youths off the street, and then divert their minds from criminality into productive ventures.
Governor of Central Bank Godwin Emefiele, who was represented at the meeting by his special assistant Anthony Ikechukwu, assured officials of the Niger Delta Ministry that the Apex Bank was ready to support and finance credible agricultural projects to promote economic growth and development.
We'll do everything possible to ensure that the joint partnership is a success.
For the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, agriculture is a key component of its comprehensive development agenda for the transformation of the oil-rich region.
Inside the Niger Delta.
The hitherto warring Basamabiri and Ogbolomabiri communities of Nembe Kingdom in Bayelsa State can now coexist peacefully as one indivisible entity. This follows their acceptance of an olive branch extended by Pastor David Ibiyeomie, Senior Pastor of Salvation Ministries, during his recent visit to Nembe Kingdom.
Basamabiri and Ogbolomabiri are two Nembe communities with a common ancestry, but seriously divided by an age-long bloody dispute. Although both ancient communities in Nembe Kingdom are endowed with vast human and natural resources, the absence of peace has taken a huge toll on development in the area. After several years of hostilities, the warring communities recently saw the need to sheathe their swords and invited Pastor David Ibiyeomie to broker peace between them.
Today, as a priest representing the Most High God, we are standing before the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. You cannot hand over to God and there be confusion. So we are handing over Basamabiri and Ogbolomabiri to God today. The earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. Now, in the name of God the Father, in the name of God the Son, in the name of God the Holy Ghost, Father, we hand over to you in Jesus' name, using them as a point of contact for the whole Nembe State. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name.
After praying for peace to return to Nembe Kingdom, Pastor Ibiyeomie urged the reconciled communities to seek the face of God to usher in a new era of peace and prosperity.
In our different forms, we'll ask God for mercy. Lord, show mercy. Whichever way we have gone astray, that's made us to destroy ourselves, that's made us to kill ourselves, we shall God have mercy. What has never happened, never said will happen. Generation of giants will rise, and that generation of great men and women will rise. Whatever glory you have lost in Nembe shall be restored. There is peace from now in the name of Jesus.
The peace accord between Basamabiri and Ogbolomabiri was witnessed by the old and young, all of whom have decided to promote peaceful coexistence in Nembe Kingdom.
This is an opportunity we've been waiting for, to reconcile these two major communities, which is the headquarters of the Nembe-speaking people. And issues like this pending has been bothering us. We are making it in our own way. But today, Daniel has come to judgment. The great man of God has come to unite us.
I am so grateful to God for this day, for the fact that unity, peace will definitely return to this land again, and it will remain forever.
Whatever activity, negative activity that take place here has a multiplier effect on the economy of the country. So if Nembe as a people, the entire Nembe speaking people are united, then it means that there will be peace, there will be development, there will be progress, and even the economy of Nigeria will be positively impacted.
Before this time, Nembe Kingdom enjoyed political stability and considerable influence, which it was able to exploit to its advantage as one of the Niger Delta city-states that established early contact with the outside world. In the wake of the recent reconciliation, the people look forward to a new dawn when peace and prosperity will begin to sprout and flourish anew in Nembe Kingdom.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Well, that's the size of our package on the program today. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region will be back same time, same station next week. Until then, you can follow us on our social media handles showing right now on your screen. Until next week, I am Mamode Akugha saying thank you for watching and bye for now.